My name is Scott Chalmers. I manage Wado down in Melita, which is basically a sister station to James. I have the same position as him down there. And we've been doing quite a bit of intercrop work, for example, with peas and canola. And we also have done some work with wheat and sweet clover or alfalfa under the stand. And I would say, the theory of nitrogen transfer from the legume crop to the cereal crop probably exists. That amount is actually a function of how good the legume crop would be in terms of biomass above ground. So when you see the alfalfa in James's stand here, you see a few plants, but that's really not a significant amount of biomass that's potentially transferring any nitrogen over. We're talking maybe 1 or 2 pounds an acre, probably. And depending on how competitive that wheat stand is against the legume, would probably affect that as well. So really your nitrogen benefit is after the effect. I would say the year after, when James has his alfalfa grow as a sole crop, then you get a huge benefit of nitrogen. But in real live time, for example, in pea canola, you're only looking at 5 pounds an acre, and that's just an estimate. Certain legume crops are more selfish for their own nitrogen than others. So, for example, soybean virtually put nothing back in the soil. It all puts it back up into the seed itself, where peas and faba beans tend to share a bit more, and alfalfa is kind of after the fact, later in the year. So there's really no huge benefit to having the crops together in that regard. More benefits are realized with water use. So you have different rooting depths sourcing from different zones of water, and that can be a benefit. Another one would be, for example, peas acidifying the soil, so you may release more phosphorus out of the rock that's present, and maybe you'll see a yield benefit that way. But in real-time live transfer, they're very small. So some of the other benefits, for example, if you have oats and peas together, you can change the nitrogen economy of that forage if you're taking it for silage. So you may see 1 or 2% more on your feed for protein, and with that, becomes a better feed for the animals. So on a dry year, you're not going to see or realize the intercropping benefits as much as if it's a wet year. So we've had in pea canola, for example, 70% more yield in an excessively wet year as to the sole crops. And I think that's just each crop pulling each other through the hard times of excessive resources. And so when those resources are limiting, they're fighting each other off, trying to be sole survivor. So, and I think really you're not going to have a yield loss in general on a dry year. You're just going to have a neutral to nothing yield benefit. It's just going to be this and that, 50-50, but you're not going to get the 60% combining to be 120% of yield. So. I'll jump